is Yvette, also known as Sunshine of Sunshine Shimmering Accessories. Today is Wednesday, and so it's time for our Wednesday word of encouragement. So, what are we talking about today? Today, my message is titled, Let's Not Borrow Trouble, right? And trouble seems to be the theme because Monday I talked about how trouble don't last always. But today I'm talking about not borrowing trouble. And what do I mean when I say not borrow trouble? I'm talking about some thinking traps that we fall into, right? And so what are these thinking traps? Thinking that you know what others think about you. And sometimes you know this, or you believe you know this based on the body language of that person when they walked into the room. You think you know them because you know their character, and so you assume you know what they're thinking, or you know what they said. Hey TT, have you ever walked into a room and a group of people was laughing? Or imagine walking to a room and as soon as you walk in, everybody started laughing, right? The first thing you're going to think is that they're laughing at you. Some people will. Other people might go, depending on your disposition, other people might go, okay, what's the joke, right? Or what's funny? But there's a group of us who are going to assume that they're laughing at us, right? We're going to assume that people think a certain way about us, or we're going to assume that people feel a certain way about us. I call that a thinking trap. I also call that borrowing trouble, right? And how is that borrowing trouble? That's borrowing trouble because you really are not, despite what anybody have told you, despite what you may think, you are not a mind reader. And so if you're assuming you know what somebody is thinking, and you think that they think negatively of you, you have just borrowed trouble. But let's flip this thing around and look at the reality of it. The truth of the matter is, if you're always assuming somebody's thinking negative of you, or talking about you, or feeling some sort of way about you, it's because you think negatively of yourself, right? You think, and I'm going to use myself for an example. At my lowest point in my life, I assumed that every time I walked into a room, somebody was assuming, oh, look at that fat girl walking in that room. Oh, was she fat? What she think she got on? She needs to lose weight. Those are some of my thoughts when I walked into a room because I didn't like me. Had nothing to do with what they were thinking. So I'm saying to you today, don't borrow trouble. Don't assume that you know what people think when you walk into a room. Don't assume that you know how they feel about you. If you walk into a room and people laugh, it's better to be that person that says, okay, what's funny, than that person that say, y'all laughing at me. That ain't who you want to be. And we borrow trouble in so many other ways besides this. As teenagers will do this. They'll do something, and then their mama will say, hey, how you doing? And they'll say, what, mama, you always accuse me of something, right? They'll jump because they'll assume that you know what they did. Even though, and my mother will tell you that that's called a guilty conscience not needing no accusing. She would say, a guilty conscience don't need accusing. So they immediately jump to the defense and you haven't even accused them of anything. That too is borrowing trouble, right? So what do we need to do? We need to do this self-examination process where when we feel some sort of way, we examine our thoughts. Because the truth is, I don't know what you think. But if I think you think negatively of me, it's probably because I think negatively of myself. And I promise you, my life changed. It completely changed when I started thinking positively of myself. Now when I walk into a room, hey Jennifer, now when I walk into a room, I think, oh, they think I'm fly. Y'all don't trip off me. This really is a part of my self-talk. It really is. I do these things deliberately because I never want to go down that rabbit hole again. I never want to be in that place where I'm borrowing trouble. I don't want to be there anymore. And so I speak positively to myself. So how do you avoid borrowing this trouble? That's how you do it. You start saying to yourself that you are beautiful. That I don't deny that I'm overweight anymore. I don't. I just usually say I'm thick. I changed the whole connotation on that. And I say I'm a thick girl. I don't say I'm fat to myself anymore. I say I'm thick. But the connotation is different for me. And so I say these things to myself now so that when I walk into a room, I won't borrow trouble. I'm not assuming anybody thinks anything of me. And if I assume they think something, I'm going to assume they think I'm fabulous. And I want you guys to do the same. All right, praise God. I see that there's 4 people in the room. I hope I spoke to everybody. I know there was JT, there's Jennifer, there's TT, there's one other person in here that I can't see them on my friends list, but that's fine. Sometimes people who aren't on my friend list pop up. But if you're in there, just say hi and I speak back. Thank you so much, JT. I always appreciate the fact that you pop in on my words of encouragement. And if I haven't gotten a chance to tell you, JT, you're an inspiration to me. You fight the good fight, and that is important to me, to watch people fight the good fight. I am so blessed to be a member of the Team Diamond Dolls. I have never in my life thought I would meet so many extraordinary women. And in reality, I haven't met any of you face to face, but I feel like you're my friends and family. So JT, again, you bless me every time you pop in. Jennifer, you do the same. And TT's my chocolate doll, y'all. So y'all hear me say TT, Pop, though we're family nicknames. TT, her name is Latia. That's my niece. And I call her chocolate doll. But she's my chocolate doll. So thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. I hope this word blessed you. And if it blessed you, I hope it blessed you into submission. And what are you submitting to today? You are submitting to not borrowing trouble. You're not going to be a mind reader and assume that you know what people think of you. And if you're feeling some sort of way when you walk into a room, you're going to examine yourself. And then you're going to check in. And instead of saying, hey, are you laughing at me? You're going to say, hey, what's so funny? Because it's a whole different kind of connotation, right? Right. Praise God. I hope this video blessed you guys. Really, I really do.